The rain fell hard on the streets of Portland that Tuesday morning. Most people walked fast, their heads down, trying to stay dry under their umbrellas. They rushed to work, to meetings, to coffee shops. Nobody wanted to stay outside longer than they had to. But on the corner of Morrison Street, someone sat still in the rain. His name was Marcus Chen, and he was 42 years old. He sat on a small wooden stool in front of an old upright piano. The piano had seen better days. Its wood was scratched and faded. Some of the white keys had turned yellow with age, but it still worked, and Marcus knew how to make it sing. Marcus wore an old gray jacket that had holes in the elbows. His jeans were worn thin at the knees. On his hands, he wore fingerless gloves. The tips of his fingers were red from the cold. His hair was longer than he liked it, touching his shoulders now. He had a beard that he kept as neat as he could with the small scissors he kept in his backpack. Next to the piano on the wet sidewalk sat an open guitar case. Inside were a few coins and a couple of dollar bills. Not much, it was early still. Maybe more people would stop later. Marcus placed his cold fingers on the piano keys. He took a breath. Then he began to play. The music that came from that old piano was beautiful. It was a piece by Chopin, soft and gentle at first, then growing stronger. His fingers moved across the keys like they were dancing. Even with the fingerless gloves, even with the cold, his playing was perfect. A woman walked by quickly, pulling her coat tight against the rain. She glanced at Marcus but did not stop. A businessman rushed past, talking loudly on his phone. He did not even look. A young couple hurried by, laughing together under one umbrella. They smiled at each other, but not at the man playing piano in the rain. Marcus kept playing. He was used to this. Most people did not stop. Most people did not really listen. They heard the music maybe, but they did not hear it. They were too busy, too rushed, too focused on getting somewhere dry. But Marcus did not mind. He played for himself as much as for anyone else. When he played, he could forget things. He could forget that he had no home. He could forget that his mother was gone. He could forget the medical bills that had taken everything from him. When his fingers touched those keys, he was just a musician. Nothing more, nothing less. He finished the Chopin piece and moved into something else. This time he played a song he made up himself. It had no name. He played it differently every time, depending on how he felt. Today, with the rain falling and the gray sky above, the song was sad but also hopeful. Like the rain would stop eventually. Like the sun would come out again. An elderly man stopped a few feet away. He stood under the awning of a closed store, staying dry, and listened. When Marcus finished the song, the old man clapped softly. He walked over, pulled out his wallet, and dropped a $5 bill into the case. "Beautiful," the old man said. "Just beautiful." "Thank you," Marcus said, his voice quiet. "Thank you very much." The old man nodded and walked away. Marcus looked at the $5 bill. That was kind, very kind. With what he had now, maybe he would make $30 today. Maybe 40 if he was lucky. That would be enough. Enough for what he needed. Marcus had been playing on this corner for almost 2 years now. Before that, his life had been very different. He had lived in a nice apartment on the east side of the city. He had taught piano lessons to children and adults. He had performed at recitals and small concerts. Music had been his life, but he had a roof over his head and food in his refrigerator. Then his mother got sick. Cancer. The doctors tried everything, but nothing worked. Marcus spent every moment he could with her. He took time off from teaching. He sold his car to help pay for treatments that insurance would not cover. He maxed out his credit cards. He borrowed money from friends. His mother died on a Sunday morning in spring. Marcus held her hand as she took her last breath. After she was gone, the bills kept coming. Hospital bills, doctor bills, medication bills, bills for treatments and tests and scans. The numbers were huge, impossible. Marcus could not pay them. He tried. He worked as much as he could. He taught lessons every day, sometimes late into the night. But it was not enough. Eventually, he lost his apartment. His landlord was patient for a while, but he had his own bills to pay. Marcus understood. For a few weeks, Marcus slept in his car. But then his car broke down and he could not afford to fix it. So he started staying at the Morrison Street shelter. It was not far from downtown. The people there were kind. They gave him a bed and meals. They helped him feel human again, but Marcus needed money. He needed to eat. He needed supplies. So he started playing piano on the street. A community center had donated the old upright piano to the city for public use. Anyone could play it. Marcus played it every day. Now, sitting in the rain, Marcus moved into a Bach piece. This one was faster, more complex. His fingers flew across the keys. The music filled the street, mixing with the sound of the rain and the traffic and the footsteps of people rushing by. A young woman stopped walking. She stood about 10 feet away watching Marcus play. Her name was Riley and she was 24 years old. She made videos for social media, trying to build a following. She loved finding interesting stories in the city, hidden moments that most people missed. Riley pulled out her phone. She started recording Marcus. She moved closer slowly, trying not to disturb him. Through her phone screen, she watched his fingers move. She watched his face. His eyes were closed now. He was lost in the music. There was something about him that caught her attention. It was not just that he played well, though he did. It was the way he played, with his whole heart. Like the music mattered more than anything. Like it was the most important thing in the world. Marcus finished the Bach piece and opened his eyes. He saw Riley with her phone pointed at him. Some people got angry when others filmed them without asking, but Marcus just nodded at her. He was not angry. He understood. This was a public place. He was performing for anyone who would listen. That was amazing, Riley said, putting her phone down. Where did you learn to play like that? Marcus smiled a small smile. I studied music for many years. A long time ago. You're really good, Riley said. Like really, really good. You should be playing in concert halls or something. Marcus looked down at the piano keys. Life does not always go the way we plan. Riley wanted to ask more questions, but she could tell Marcus did not want to talk much. She walked over to his guitar case and pulled out a $20 bill from her wallet. She put it in the case. Thank you for the music, she said. Thank you, Marcus replied. That is very kind. Riley walked away, but she kept thinking about Marcus. There was a story there. She could feel it. When she got to her favorite coffee shop, she sat down and watched the video she had recorded. The sound quality was not perfect because of the rain and the street noise, but Marcus's playing came through clearly. It was beautiful. She posted the video to her social media accounts. She wrote a simple caption, "Hidden talent in our city. This man plays piano on Morrison Street every day, rain or shine. Stop and listen if you can." Then she put her phone away and forgot about it. She had other things to do, other videos to make, other stories to find. Back on Morrison Street, Marcus kept playing. The rain started to ease up a little. A few more people stopped to listen. A teenager dropped some coins in the case. A mother and her young daughter stood nearby. The little girl watched Marcus with wide eyes. "Mommy, he is so good," the girl whispered. "Yes, he is," her mother agreed. When Marcus finished his song, the mother led her daughter over to the case. The little girl dropped in a dollar bill very carefully, like it was something precious. "What is your name?" the girl asked, looking up at Marcus. "My name is Marcus," he said gently. "What is yours?" "Emma," the girl said. "I want to learn piano." "That is wonderful," Marcus said. "Piano is beautiful. You should learn." "Are you a teacher?" Emma asked. Marcus paused. "I was once." Emma's mother smiled sadly at Marcus. She could tell he had a story, though she did not know what it was. She took Emma's hand. "Thank you for the music," she said to Marcus. "You are very welcome," Marcus said. They walked away, and Marcus watched them go. Children always made him think of his students from before. He had loved teaching. Seeing a child discover music for the first time was magical. Watching them improve week by week was one of the best feelings in the world. He missed teaching. But that life seemed far away now, like it had happened to someone else. Marcus looked up at the sky. The rain had stopped. Clouds were breaking apart, and he could see bits of blue between them. Maybe the sun would come out after all. He counted the money in his guitar case. $43. That was more than usual. It had been a good morning. With this money, he could do what he needed to do. Marcus played a few more songs, then decided to take a break. His fingers were tired and he was hungry. He stood up, stretched his back, and carefully closed the lid of the piano. He picked up the guitar case with the money inside and put his backpack over his shoulders. He walked down Morrison Street past shops and restaurants. The smell of fresh bread came from a bakery. His stomach growled. But he kept walking. Marcus went to a small grocery store 3 blocks away. Inside it was warm and bright. He walked through the aisles, picking up items carefully. Bread, peanut butter, apples, granola bars, orange juice. He did not buy anything for himself except a small sandwich for lunch. At the checkout, the total came to $38.50. Marcus paid with his street performance money. He had $4.50 left. Having a party? The cashier joked, seeing all the food. Something like that, Marcus said with a small smile. He carried the grocery bags back toward the Morrison Street shelter. He knew that many families stayed there. Families with children. They needed food. The shelter provided meals, but they were simple, basic. Sometimes the kids were still hungry. Marcus had been doing this for over a year now. Whenever he made enough money playing piano, he bought groceries and brought them to the shelter. He gave them to families who needed them. He never told anyone. He just did it quietly. When he reached the shelter, he went in through the side door. A woman named Patricia Williams ran the shelter. She was in her 60s with kind eyes and gray hair pulled back in a bun. When she saw Marcus with the grocery bags, she shook her head. "Marcus, you are doing it again," she said softly. "The children should have good food," Marcus said simply. "But you need food too," Patricia said. "You work hard for that money." "I have enough," Marcus said, "and please, give these to the families." Patricia took the bags, but her eyes were wet with tears. "You have the biggest heart of anyone I know." Marcus did not say anything. He just nodded and walked toward the sleeping area. He had a bunk bed in a room with 5 other men. It was not private, but it was safe and dry. That was enough. He sat on his bunk and ate his sandwich slowly. He was tired. Playing piano in the cold and rain took energy, but it was good tired. The kind of tired that comes from doing something you love. That night, Marcus lay in his bunk and thought about his mother. She had been the one who taught him piano when he was young. She had seen something in him, a talent, and she had encouraged it. She worked extra hours at her job to pay for his lessons. She drove him to recitals and competitions. She believed in him. "I am still playing, Mom," Marcus whispered into the darkness. "I am still playing." He closed his eyes and fell asleep to the sounds of the shelter. People coughing. Someone snoring. The wind outside. The hum of the old heating system. These were his lullabies now. Marcus did not know that across the city, Riley's video was starting to get attention. People were watching it, sharing it, commenting on it. The number of views was climbing. 100, 500, 1,000. By morning, everything would start to change. But for now, Marcus slept, dreaming of music and his mother's smile and days when life was simpler. Tomorrow he would wake up and go back to Morrison Street. He would sit at that old piano and play for whoever would listen. Because that was what he did. That was who he was. A musician, a teacher, a man who had lost much but still gave what little he had. A man who believed that music belonged to everyone, rich or poor, housed or homeless. A man who played in the rain because the world needed beauty, even on gray days, especially on gray days. Riley woke up to her phone buzzing nonstop. She reached for it, still half asleep, and looked at the screen. Her eyes went wide. Notifications were pouring in. Likes, comments, shares. The video of Marcus playing piano had exploded overnight. When she had posted it yesterday, she thought maybe a few hundred people would see it. That was normal for her videos. But this was different. This was huge. The video had 2 million views. 2 million. And the number was still climbing. Riley sat up in bed and started reading the comments. They came from all over the world. "Who is this man? He plays like a professional. This is the most beautiful thing I have seen all week. We pass by people like this every day and never stop to listen. Thank you for sharing this. Does anyone know his story? I want to help him." Riley felt her heart beat faster. She had captured something special. She knew it when she filmed it, but she had no idea it would touch so many people. She got out of bed and made coffee, but she could not stop looking at her phone. The views kept climbing. 3 million now. Her phone rang. It was a local news station. Channel 7 News, Riley answered, her voice shaky. "Hello? Hi, is this Riley Martinez?" a woman's voice asked. "Yes, that is me." "My name is Jennifer Tam. I am a reporter with Channel 7 News. We saw your video of the piano player. It is getting a lot of attention. We would love to do a story about him. Do you know how we can find him?" Riley's mind raced. He plays on Morrison Street, on the corner near the old theater. He is there most days. Perfect, Jennifer said. Would you be willing to meet us there? Maybe introduce us to him? We can mention that you were the one who shared his story. Riley thought about it. She did not want to make this about herself. But maybe this could help Marcus. Maybe this attention could change things for him. Yes, Riley said. I can meet you there. What time? How about this afternoon? Around 2 o'clock? I will be there, Riley said. After she hung up, Riley kept scrolling through the comments. People were asking if there was a way to donate money to Marcus. Some people wanted to know if he gave lessons. Others just wanted to know his story. Riley had an idea. She opened a website for crowdfunding and created a campaign. She titled it Help Marcus the Piano Man. She wrote a description explaining that Marcus played piano on the streets and that she wanted to help him. She set a goal of $10,000. Maybe people would donate enough to help him get an apartment or some new clothes or whatever he needed. She shared the link in the comments of her video. Within an hour, donations started coming in. $50, $100, $20, small amounts from people all over. Riley watched the total climb. $500, $1,000, $2,000. By noon, the video had 5 million views. The fundraiser had $8,000. Riley could not believe it. This was really happening. At 1:30, she left her apartment and headed to Morrison Street. When she got there, Marcus was already at the piano. He was playing something slow and beautiful. A small crowd had gathered around him, more people than usual. They stood and listened, some recording on their phones. Marcus did not seem to notice the larger crowd. He just played, his eyes closed, his fingers moving across the keys like always. Riley waited until he finished the song. When people clapped, Marcus opened his eyes and smiled softly. He looked tired, she thought. His clothes were the same as yesterday. His hair was messy. But when he played, none of that mattered. He transformed into something else. Someone else, Marcus. Riley called out, walking toward him. He looked up and recognized her. Hello, you are the young woman from yesterday. Yes, my name is Riley. I wanted to talk to you about something. Marcus looked confused but nodded. Okay, the video I took of you yesterday? It went viral. Millions of people have seen it. And a news station wants to interview you. They are coming here in a few minutes. Marcus's face went pale. A news station? Interview me? Why? Because people love your music. They want to know your story. They want to help you. Marcus shook his head slowly. I do not need help. I am fine. But you are homeless, Riley said gently. You play piano in the rain for money. People want to help make your life better. Marcus looked down at his hands. My life is what it is. I do not need attention. Before Riley could respond, a news van pulled up to the curb. Jennifer Tam stepped out with a cameraman. She was in her mid-30s, wearing a professional suit and carrying a microphone. She smiled when she saw Riley and walked over. You must be Riley, Jennifer said, shaking her hand. Yes, and this is Marcus. Jennifer turned to Marcus and extended her hand. Mr. Marcus, it is an honor to meet you. Your piano playing has touched millions of people. Would you be willing to talk with me for a few minutes? Just a short interview? Marcus hesitated. He looked uncomfortable, but he also looked at Riley, who gave him an encouraging nod. Finally, he agreed. Okay, a few minutes. Jennifer signaled to her cameraman and they set up quickly. She stood next to Marcus while the cameraman filmed them. A small crowd gathered to watch. I am here with Marcus Chen, the talented pianist who has captured hearts across the internet. Jennifer began. Marcus, tell us. How long have you been playing piano on the streets? About 2 years, Marcus said quietly. And where did you learn to play so beautifully? Marcus looked down. I studied music in college. I taught piano lessons for many years. Before. Before what? Jennifer asked gently. Marcus was quiet for a moment. Riley could see he did not want to talk about this. But finally he spoke. Before my mother got sick. She had cancer. The medical bills were too much. I lost everything trying to help her. And then she died anyway. The crowd was silent. Jennifer's face showed sympathy. I am so sorry for your loss. That must have been incredibly difficult. Marcus nodded but did not say more. So you play here every day now? Jennifer continued, yes, most days. I need money for food and supplies. What do you do with the money you earn? Marcus paused. This was a question he did not expect. I buy what I need. Just what you need? Nothing else? Marcus looked uncomfortable. Sometimes I help other people at the shelter where I stay. If I have extra. Jennifer leaned in. What kind of help? Just small things. Food sometimes. Nothing special. Riley noticed that Marcus was being vague, like he did not want to talk about helping others, like he was trying to keep something private. She found that interesting. Most people would want credit for their good deeds. But Marcus seemed almost embarrassed by the question. Jennifer asked a few more questions about his music, about his favorite composers, about what it was like playing on the streets. Marcus answered them all simply and quietly. He was not comfortable with the attention. That much was clear. When the interview ended, Jennifer thanked Marcus. This will air on the evening news tonight. I think a lot of people are going to want to help you. I do not need help, Marcus said again, but thank you. After the news crew left, Riley showed Marcus the fundraiser on her phone. His eyes went wide when he saw the amount. $12,000 now. I cannot take this, Marcus said, shaking his head. This is too much. It is not about what you can or cannot take, Riley said. People want to give it to you. They were moved by your music. They want to help. Marcus looked overwhelmed. I do not understand. I just play piano. That is all. That is enough, Riley said. Your music means something to people. Let them say thank you. Marcus sat back down at the piano bench. He put his head in his hands. Riley thought he might be crying, but she could not tell. She sat down next to him. This is a lot, I know, she said softly, but it is a good thing. I promise, Marcus looked up. His eyes were red. What if I do not deserve it? Why would you think that? Because I failed. I failed my mother. I could not save her. I lost everything. I ended up here on the streets. How does that deserve anything? Riley felt her own eyes fill with tears. You did not fail. You did everything you could. Sometimes life is just hard. That does not mean you do not deserve help, or kindness, or a second chance. Marcus did not respond. He just looked at the piano keys. That evening, Marcus went back to the shelter earlier than usual. He felt strange, exposed, like something private had been made public. He did not like it. He walked into the shelter's main room. Patricia was there serving dinner. When she saw Marcus, she waved him over. Marcus, I saw you on the news. You are famous. Marcus groaned. Please do not say that, but it is true. Everyone here watched it. We are so proud of you. Other people in the shelter came over to congratulate him. They patted his back and shook his hand. A little boy named Tyler, who Marcus sometimes gave granola bars to, hugged his leg. You are on TV, Tyler said excitedly. Marcus managed a small smile for the boy. Yes, I guess I am. That night, Marcus could not sleep. He kept thinking about the interview, about the fundraiser, about all the people watching him. It felt wrong somehow, like he was taking something he should not take, like he was getting attention for just surviving. He thought about his mother. She would have been proud to see him on TV, but she would also have told him to accept the help. She always said that accepting help was not weakness. It was just being human. We all need help sometimes, she used to say, but Marcus had spent so long being the helper. He was the one who took care of his mother. He was the one who taught students. He was the one who bought groceries for families at the shelter. Being on the receiving end felt uncomfortable, wrong. The next morning, Marcus woke up to more attention. His face was on the front page of the local newspaper's website. The headline read, Homeless Piano Virtuoso Touches Hearts Worldwide. When he went to Morrison Street to play, there were already people waiting for him. News crews from other stations, photographers, people who wanted to hear him play in person. The crowd was huge, bigger than anything Marcus had ever seen. He sat at the piano feeling anxious. All these eyes on him, all these cameras. But then he put his fingers on the keys and started to play. And just like always, the music took over. The crowd faded away. The cameras disappeared. It was just him and the piano and the notes flowing from his fingers. He played for 2 hours. People clapped after every song. They filled his guitar case with money, lots of money, more than he had ever made before. When he finally stopped, he counted it, $473, in just 2 hours. Marcus did not know what to do with so much money. It felt like too much. Way too much. A woman from the crowd approached him. She was middle-aged, dressed nicely with kind eyes. Hello, Marcus. My name is Susan Chen. I own a music school across town. I have been teaching piano for 25 years. When I saw your interview last night, I was amazed by your talent. I wondered if you might be interested in teaching at my school. We could really use someone with your skill and passion. Marcus stared at her. Teaching? At a real school? Yes, we have students of all ages. The pay is good. $40 per hour. You could teach as many or as few hours as you want. $40 per hour. Marcus remembered when he used to charge that much for private lessons. Before everything fell apart. Could he really do that again? I do not have a permanent address, Marcus said honestly. I stay at a shelter. That is okay, Susan said. If this works out, you will be able to afford an apartment soon. We can help you with that transition if you need it. Marcus felt dizzy. This was all happening too fast. Yesterday he was just a homeless man playing piano for coins. Today he was being offered a real job, with real pay, a way back to the life he used to have. Can I think about it? Marcus asked. Of course. Here is my card. Call me when you are ready. After Susan left, more people came to talk to Marcus. A real estate agent offered to help him find affordable housing. A clothing store owner offered to give him new clothes for free. A restaurant owner offered to give him free meals. Everyone wanted to help. Everyone wanted to be part of his story. It was overwhelming, beautiful and terrifying at the same time. Riley came by in the afternoon. The fundraiser was at $28,000 now. She showed Marcus the comments again. People from all over the world were sharing their own stories of hardship and hope. Marcus's story had touched something deep in people. It reminded them that beauty could exist anywhere. That talent and worth were not determined by circumstances. That everyone deserved compassion. What are you going to do with all this money? Riley asked. Marcus looked at her. I still do not know. It does not feel like mine. It is yours, Riley insisted. You earned it. With your music. With your talent. With your story. My story is just pain and loss, Marcus said quietly. No, Riley said firmly. Your story is also about not giving up. About still making beautiful music even when life is hard. About still helping others even when you have nothing. That is your story too. Marcus had never thought about it that way. He had only seen his failures. But maybe Riley was right. Maybe there was more to his story than just the sad parts. That night, back at the shelter, Patricia pulled Marcus aside. There is something I need to tell you, she said. About what you have been doing here. Marcus felt nervous. What do you mean? I mean the groceries you buy for families. The piano lessons you give to kids at the community center. The way you share your meals with others. The way you gave your winter coat to Eddie last month. You were not supposed to know about those things, Marcus said. I run this shelter, Patricia said with a gentle smile. I know everything. And Marcus, people need to know about this. About your kindness. About your generosity. You have been giving away almost everything you earn to help others, while you yourself are homeless. That is remarkable. It is not remarkable, Marcus protested. It is just what you do. You help people when you can. Not everyone does that. Most people keep everything for themselves, especially when they have so little. But you give. Always. And I think the reporter Jennifer should know about this. I think the world should know. Marcus felt panic rise in his chest. No, please, that is private. I do not want people to know. Why not? Because then it becomes about me. About looking good. About getting credit. I do not do it for credit. I just do it. Patricia looked at Marcus with tears in her eyes. That is exactly why people need to know. Because you do not want them to. Because it is pure. Because it is real. Marcus shook his head. Please, Patricia. Do not tell anyone. I cannot promise that, Patricia said. This is too important. But I will wait a little while. Give you time to get used to all this attention. Okay? Marcus nodded, but he felt uneasy. He went to his bunk and lay down. Everything was changing so fast, too fast. He closed his eyes and tried to sleep, but his mind kept spinning with thoughts of reporters and cameras and people wanting to help him and his whole life turning upside down in just 2 days. All because Riley had filmed him playing piano in the rain. All because his music had touched people's hearts. All because sometimes, when you least expect it, the world notices you. Jennifer Tam could not stop thinking about Marcus. Something about his interview bothered her. Not in a bad way, but something felt incomplete. He had been so vague when she asked about helping people at the shelter. Like he was hiding something. Like there was more to the story. She was a good reporter because she followed her instincts. And her instincts told her to dig deeper. 3 days after the interview aired, Jennifer drove to the Morrison Street shelter. It was a gray building with chipped paint and a simple sign out front. Nothing fancy, but it was clean and safe, and that was what mattered. She walked inside. The main room had tables and chairs where people could sit and eat or talk. A small kitchen was visible through a doorway. The walls were decorated with children's drawings and motivational posters. Behind the front desk sat Patricia Williams. She looked up when Jennifer entered and smiled warmly. "Can I help you?" "Hi. My name is Jennifer Tam. I am a reporter with Channel 7 News. I interviewed Marcus Chen a few days ago." "The piano player?" Patricia's face lit up. "Oh yes, I saw that interview. It was wonderful. Marcus is such a special person. That is actually why I am here," Jennifer said. "I got the sense during our interview that there was more to his story, especially about how he helps people here at the shelter. Would you be willing to talk to me about that?" Patricia hesitated. She remembered her promise to Marcus. She had said she would wait before telling anyone about his kindness. But it had been 3 days, and this reporter seemed genuine, like she really wanted to understand who Marcus was. "Can we talk off camera first?" Patricia asked. "I want to make sure this is done right. Marcus is very private about his good deeds." "Of course," Jennifer said. She pulled out a notepad but left her recording equipment in her bag. Patricia gestured for Jennifer to sit down at one of the tables. She poured 2 cups of coffee and sat across from her. "What do you want to know?" Patricia asked. "Everything," Jennifer said. "Who is Marcus really? Beyond just being a talented musician?" Patricia took a sip of her coffee and thought about where to begin. "Marcus came to us 2 years ago. He had just lost his apartment. He had nothing but his backpack and his broken heart from losing his mother. Most people who come to us are defeated, angry at the world, sad, and Marcus was sad too. Very sad. But he was also different. Different how? He still saw other people. He still cared about others even when he had every reason to only care about himself. Within his first week here, I found him teaching a little boy how to tie his shoes. The boy's mother was a single mom working 2 jobs, and she did not always have time for small things like that. But Marcus had time. He always had time for people." Jennifer wrote notes quickly. "What else?" Patricia's eyes grew soft with emotion. "About a year ago, Marcus started bringing groceries to the shelter. At first, I did not know where they came from. They just appeared in our kitchen. Bread, peanut butter, fresh fruit, juice boxes, things that kids love. I asked around, trying to figure out who was leaving them. Finally, someone told me it was Marcus. He was buying groceries for other people, while he was homeless himself?" "Yes, he was using the money he made from playing piano on the street. Most of it. Almost all of it, actually. He kept just enough for himself to survive. Everything else went to helping families here. Families with children especially." Jennifer felt goosebumps on her arms. "That is incredible." "There is more," Patricia said. "Marcus also teaches piano lessons. For free. Where?" "At the community center 2 blocks from here. They have an old keyboard that someone donated. Every Tuesday and Thursday evening, Marcus goes there and teaches any child who wants to learn. He does not charge anything."
"He does not ask for anything in return."
"He just teaches." "How many children has he taught?" "At least 20 over the past year. Some stuck with it, some did not. But Marcus never turned anyone away, even kids who had no natural talent. He was patient with everyone." Jennifer shook her head in amazement. "This is the real story. This is what people need to know." "But Marcus does not want people to know," Patricia said quietly. "He is very private about it. He says that if you do good things for recognition, then you are doing them for the wrong reasons. He just wants to help. That is all." "That is exactly why people need to know," Jennifer said, echoing what Patricia had told Marcus days earlier. "Because he does not want credit. That makes it pure, real, important." Patricia looked torn. "I know, but I made a promise to Marcus. I told him I would wait before telling anyone." "How long did you promise to wait?" "I did not give him a specific time. I just said I would wait a little while." Jennifer leaned forward. "Patricia, this story could change things. Not just for Marcus, but for everyone. We live in a world where people are so focused on themselves, where kindness seems rare. Marcus's story shows that even when you have nothing, you can still give. Even when life has beaten you down, you can still lift others up. People need to hear that. They need to be reminded that goodness exists. Patricia felt tears in her eyes. She knew Jennifer was right. This was bigger than just Marcus. This was about hope, about inspiration, about showing people what real generosity looked like. Okay, Patricia said finally, but I want to talk to Marcus first. I want his permission, and if he says no, then you have to respect that. Deal, Jennifer said. That evening, Patricia found Marcus in the common room. He was playing checkers with Tyler, the little boy who had hugged him when he appeared on TV. Tyler was winning, and Marcus pretended to be shocked. No way. You beat me again? You are too good at this game. Tyler giggled. You are just bad at checkers, Marcus. You are probably right, Marcus said with a smile. Patricia waited until their game was finished. Then she asked Marcus if they could talk privately. They went outside and sat on the front steps of the shelter. The evening air was cool and fresh. What is wrong? Marcus asked. He could tell Patricia had something serious on her mind. That reporter came here today, Jennifer Tam. She wanted to know more about you, about the things you do here. Marcus felt his stomach drop. What did you tell her? The truth. About the groceries. About the piano lessons. About how you help everyone. About your kindness. Patricia, no. I asked you not to. I know. And I am sorry. But Marcus, this is important. Your story is important. Not because it makes you look good, but because it shows people what real kindness is. It shows them that circumstances do not define character, that you can be homeless and still be generous, that you can have nothing and still give everything. Marcus put his head in his hands. I do not want to be some inspiration, some feel-good story. I just want to help people quietly and be left alone. But you cannot be left alone anymore. That video changed things. People know who you are now. They want to help you, and they deserve to know why you are worth helping. Not just because you play piano well, but because you are a good person, a truly good person. Marcus looked up at the darkening sky. Stars were starting to appear. What if I say no? Can I still say no? Yes, Patricia said. Jennifer promised to respect your wishes. But Marcus, I'm asking you to say yes, please. Let people see the whole you. Marcus was quiet for a long time. Finally, he spoke. Okay, but only if the focus is on the people I have helped, not on me. If this is going to be a story, it should be their story, about the families who need help, about the kids who want to learn music, about the shelter and the work you do here. I am just a small part of that. Patricia smiled. I will tell Jennifer. But you should know, Marcus, you are not a small part. You are a big part, a very big part. The next day, Jennifer returned to the shelter with her cameraman. This time, Patricia had organized something special. She had invited some of the people Marcus had helped to come and share their stories. Jennifer sat up in the common room. Her cameraman checked his equipment. Patricia had arranged chairs in a semicircle. Slowly, people began to arrive. There was Sarah, a single mother with 2 young children. Marcus had been buying groceries for her family for 6 months. Her kids were there too, a girl named Maya who was 8 and a boy named Liam who was 6. There was Eddie, the elderly veteran who Marcus had given his winter coat to last December. Eddie was in his 70s with white hair and tired eyes that had seen too much war. There was Carmen, a teenager whose mother worked nights. Carmen had been one of Marcus's piano students. She had never touched a piano before Marcus taught her. There were others too. A family from Guatemala who spoke limited English. A young couple who had lost their jobs and ended up at the shelter. A man named David who struggled with addiction but found peace in listening to Marcus play. Marcus arrived last. When he walked in and saw everyone gathered there, he stopped. His face showed confusion and worry. What is this? He asked Patricia. It is your story, Patricia said gently, but told by the people whose lives you touched. Marcus looked like he wanted to run, but Sarah stood up and walked over to him. She took his hands in hers. Please, she said. Let us say thank you. Let us tell people what you did for us. Marcus looked into her eyes. He saw gratitude there, and love. Not romantic love, but the kind of love that comes from being helped when you need it most. Okay, he whispered. Jennifer began the interview. But instead of asking Marcus questions, she asked the others. She let them tell their stories. Sarah went first. She sat in front of the camera with her children beside her. 6 months ago, I left an abusive relationship, Sarah said, her voice shaking a little. I came here with my kids and nothing else. I was scared. I did not know how I would feed them. The shelter gives us meals, but kids are always hungry, you know? They need snacks. They need fruit. They need treats sometimes. She paused and wiped her eyes. One day I found a bag of groceries outside my room. There was no note, no name, just food. Good food, things my kids loved. This kept happening every week or two. Finally, I asked Patricia who was leaving them. She told me it was Marcus, the man who played piano downtown. Maya, her daughter, spoke up. Marcus bought me oranges. I love oranges. And granola bars. And juice boxes. I wanted to thank him, Sarah continued. But he would not let me. He said I did not need to thank him. He said helping people was just what you do. But I do need to thank him. Because of Marcus, my kids never went hungry. Because of Marcus, I had one less thing to worry about. He gave us more than food. He gave us hope. Eddie went next. He sat in the chair slowly, his old bones creaking. He held Marcus's winter coat in his hands. Last December was cold, Eddie said. The coldest winter in 20 years, they said. I did not have a good coat. Mine was too thin.
I was always cold.
One night, Marcus saw me shivering. He took off his own coat and gave it to me. Just like that. Did not hesitate. Eddie's voice broke. I told him no. I told him he needed it. But he insisted. He said he had another one at home. But I found out later he was lying. He did not have another coat. He went without so I could be warm. Who does that? Who gives away their only coat? He looked at Marcus, who was standing off to the side, tears running down his face. You are a better man than most, Marcus Chen, and I am proud to know you. Carmen, the teenage piano student, went next. She was shy and spoke softly. I never thought I would learn piano, she said. My family does not have money for lessons. We barely have money for food, but Marcus taught me for free, every Tuesday and Thursday for 8 months now. He is patient. He never gets mad when I make mistakes. He just shows me again and again until I get it right. She pulled out her phone and played a video. It showed her sitting at the keyboard at the community center, playing a simple song. Her fingers moved carefully across the keys. The song was not perfect, but it was beautiful. When the video ended, she looked at the camera. Marcus gave me music, and music gave me something to look forward to, something to be proud of. He changed my life. One by one, people shared their stories. Each one revealed another act of kindness Marcus had done, another way he had helped, another moment of generosity. The family from Guatemala talked about how Marcus used hand gestures and patience to teach their son piano, even though they did not speak the same language. The young couple talked about how Marcus gave them money for bus fare when they had a job interview across town. David, who struggled with addiction, talked about how Marcus's music helped him through hard days, how he would sit and listen to Marcus play, and for those moments his cravings would fade. Through all of this, Marcus stood against the wall crying openly. He had not realized how much his small actions had meant to people. He had just done what felt right, what felt necessary, but to them, it had been everything. When everyone finished sharing, Jennifer turned the camera to Marcus. Marcus, you have heard these stories. These are the lives you touched. What do you want to say? Marcus could barely speak. His voice was thick with emotion. I do not know what to say. I just wanted to help. I never thought it mattered this much. Why did you do it? Jennifer asked. Why did you give away your money, your coat, your time? Why did you help others when you yourself needed help? Marcus thought about the question. He thought about his mother and what she taught him. He thought about his own pain and loss and how helping others had helped him survive. Because when you have nothing, you understand what nothing feels like, Marcus said slowly. And if you can prevent someone else from feeling that emptiness, that fear, that hunger, then you have to do it. You have to. It is not about being good or noble. It is about being human. We are supposed to take care of each other, especially when times are hard. He looked at the people gathered in the room. These people do not owe me thanks. I owe them thanks. They let me help them. They let me feel useful. They let me be something more than just a homeless man. They let me be a teacher, a friend, a helper. They gave me purpose. So really they helped me more than I helped them. The room was silent except for the sound of people crying. Even Jennifer had tears in her eyes. Even the cameraman who had filmed thousands of stories was moved. This was the real story, not just about a talented homeless musician, but about a man who embodied the best of humanity, a man who gave everything even though he had nothing, a man who proved that circumstances could not crush character, that poverty could not kill kindness, that being broken did not mean you stopped building others up. After the interview, people hugged Marcus. They thanked him again. Some cried. Some laughed. It was emotional and beautiful and overwhelming. Riley showed up near the end. She had heard about the interviews and came to watch. When she saw Marcus surrounded by all these people whose lives he had touched, she understood why his video had gone viral. It was not just his talent. It was him, his heart, his soul, his unwillingness to let hardship make him hard. She checked her phone. The fundraiser was at $48,000 now. But she knew that after this interview aired, it would go much higher. People would want to help Marcus even more when they learned the whole truth about him. That night, the story aired on the evening news. It was longer than a typical segment. Jennifer had fought with her producer to give it the time it deserved. 12 minutes. The whole thing. And just like the piano video, it exploded. Within hours, it was shared across every social media platform. News outlets around the country picked it up. International news covered it. The story of the homeless piano man who gave everything away went around the world. Marcus's fundraiser jumped to $90,000, then $150,000, then $200,000. People donated from 50 different countries. They left comments about how Marcus inspired them, how they wanted to be more like him, how his story reminded them what really mattered in life. Marcus lay in his bunk that night, unable to process it all. His life had been private and simple. Now it was public and complicated. People knew everything about him. His losses, his kindness, his daily struggles. Everything was exposed. But as he lay there, he thought about Sarah and her children, about Eddie wearing his coat, about Carmen playing piano, about all the people whose stories had been shared. And he realized that maybe this was okay. Maybe this attention, as uncomfortable as it was, served a purpose. Maybe it would help other people. Maybe it would inspire them to be kinder, to help more, to give even when they felt they had nothing to give. Maybe his story was not just his anymore. Maybe it belonged to everyone now. A reminder that goodness existed, that people still cared, that even in the darkest times light could be found. Marcus closed his eyes and fell asleep, exhausted but at peace. Tomorrow would bring more changes, more attention, more opportunities. But tonight he was just Marcus, a man who played piano, a man who helped people, a man who believed that we are all responsible for each other. The morning after the full interview aired, Marcus woke up to a different world. His phone, an old smartphone that someone had donated to the shelter, was buzzing constantly. He had never gotten this many notifications before. He barely used the phone except to check the weather sometimes. Messages, friend requests, interview requests, people wanting to talk to him, to help him, to be part of his story. It was too much. Marcus turned the phone off and put it in his locker. When he walked into the common room for breakfast, everyone stared at him. Not in a bad way, in an amazed way, like he was someone different now, someone important. Marcus. Tyler ran up to him and hugged his legs. You are famous. My teacher showed your video at school. Everyone knows you now. Marcus smiled weakly and patted Tyler's head. I am still just Marcus. Same person as yesterday. But he was not the same person as yesterday. Not to the world. The world had decided he was special. A hero, an inspiration. And there was no going back from that. Patricia came over with a cup of coffee for him. How are you holding up? I do not know, Marcus said honestly. This is all very strange. I know. But it is also wonderful. Look at what is happening. People are donating. They want to help you. They want to help the shelter too. We have received thousands of dollars in donations just since last night. This is going to change things for all of us. Marcus had not thought about that. His story was helping the shelter. That made him feel a little better. If this attention could help Patricia continue her work, then maybe it was worth it. After breakfast, Marcus walked to Morrison Street like he did every day. But when he got there, he stopped and stared. The corner was packed with people. Hundreds of them. They were waiting for him. Some held signs that said things like, "We love you, Marcus, and thank you for inspiring us." News crews were there too. At least 5 different cameras. Reporters calling out to him. People trying to get his attention. It was chaos. Marcus felt panic rise in his chest. He turned around and started walking away quickly. Marcus, wait! Riley appeared next to him. She must have been in the crowd. I know this is overwhelming, but these people just want to support you. They came to hear you play. There are too many, Marcus said, breathing fast. I cannot do this. It is too much. Riley took his arm gently. Okay, let me help. Come on. She led him away from the crowd down a side street. They walked to a small park a few blocks away and sat on a bench. Marcus put his head in his hands. I just wanted to play piano, he said quietly. I just wanted to help a few people. I did not want any of this. I know, Riley said. And I am sorry. This is partially my fault. I posted that video without thinking about how it would affect you. It is not your fault. You were being kind. You just wanted to share something beautiful. How could you know this would happen? They sat in silence for a few minutes. Birds chirped in the trees above them. Cars drove by on the street. Normal life was still happening, even though Marcus's life felt anything but normal. What are you going to do? Riley asked. I do not know. I could hide. Stop playing in public. Go somewhere else. But that feels wrong. Like running away. You are not a person who runs away, Riley said. You stayed and took care of your mother even when it cost you everything. You stayed at the shelter and helped people even when you had nothing. You do not run. That is not who you are. Marcus knew she was right. Running was not the answer. But what was? His phone buzzed in his pocket. He had turned it back on during the walk. He pulled it out and saw a text from Susan Chen, the owner of the music school who had offered him a teaching job. The text said, Marcus, I understand you are overwhelmed. No pressure, but the job offer still stands. Whenever you are ready, we would be honored to have you. Marcus showed the text to Riley. She wants me to teach again, like I used to, like before everything fell apart. That is amazing. Are you going to do it? I do not know if I can. What if I fail again? What if I let people down? You will not fail. And Marcus, you did not fail before. Life happened. Terrible, unfair things happened, but you did not fail as a teacher or a person. You sacrificed everything for your mother. That is not failure. That is love. Marcus felt tears in his eyes again. He had cried more in the past week than he had in years. All these emotions were coming out. Years of pain and loss and shame and fear. All of it was surfacing. I am scared, he admitted. I am scared to hope again. I am scared to believe things can be better. Because what if they cannot? What if this all falls apart? Riley took his hand. What if it does not? What if this is your chance to rebuild? What if all this attention and money and opportunity is the universe saying, hey, you have suffered enough. Let us give you something good now. Marcus wanted to believe that. He really did. Over the next few days, things calmed down a little. The crowds at Morrison Street got smaller. The news crews moved on to other stories. Marcus started playing piano again, though he chose different times and places to avoid too much attention. The fundraiser had reached $250,000. Riley had worked with Patricia to set up a system for the money. Part of it would go to Marcus for housing and living expenses. Part of it would go to the Morrison Street shelter to help others. Part of it would go to starting a program for free music lessons for kids who could not afford them. Marcus liked this plan. It felt fair. It felt right. He was getting help, but others were getting help too. He called Susan Chen and accepted the teaching job. She was thrilled. They arranged for him to start in 2 weeks, giving him time to find an apartment and get settled. A real estate agent named Tom had offered to help Marcus find housing for free. He showed Marcus several apartments in his price range. They were small but nice, clean, safe, everything Marcus needed. Marcus chose a studio apartment on the east side. It had big windows that let in lots of light. There was enough room for a bed, a small table, and a keyboard that Susan had offered to lend him. It was on the second floor of an old building. The rent was $700 a month, which Marcus could now afford with his teaching income. When Tom handed Marcus the keys, Marcus just held them and stared. Keys. His own keys. To his own place. It had been 2 years since he had that. Welcome home, Tom said with a smile. Marcus could not speak. He just nodded and shook Tom's hand. Moving in was simple because Marcus did not have much. His backpack, Some donated clothes, a few books. That was it. Riley and Patricia helped him. They brought supplies, sheets for the bed, towels, dishes, soap. All the little things you need to start a life. Sarah came with her kids carrying a plant. Every home needs something living, she said as she placed the small plant on the windowsill. Eddie brought a welcome mat for the door, so you know you are home when you walk in. Carmen brought a framed photo she had taken of Marcus playing piano on Morrison Street. So you remember where you came from. Tyler brought a drawing he had made. It showed Marcus sitting at a piano with music notes floating around him. "I made this for you," Tyler said proudly. Marcus hung the drawing on his refrigerator with a magnet. It was the first decoration in his new home. That night, Marcus sat on his bed in his empty apartment. It was quiet, so quiet. At the shelter, there was always noise. People talking, snoring, coughing, doors opening and closing. He had gotten used to it. But this silence was different. It was peaceful. It was his. He pulled out his phone and looked at pictures from his old life. Pictures of his mother. Pictures of his old apartment. Pictures of his students from before. He had not looked at these in years. It hurt too much. But now he could look at them and smile. He could remember the good times without the pain crushing him. "I made it, Mom," he whispered to her photo. "I am going to be okay." The next day, Marcus went to the music school to meet with Susan and see the space where he would teach. The school was beautiful, bright and clean with practice rooms that had good pianos. There was a waiting room where parents could sit. A small performance space for recitals. Susan introduced Marcus to the other teachers. They all knew his story. Some had seen the interviews. They welcomed him warmly without pity. "Just genuine kindness. We are so glad you're here," one teacher named Michelle said. "We have been fully booked for months. Having another teacher, especially one with your talent, is going to be amazing." Susan showed Marcus the schedule. "I have set you up with 8 students to start. 4 children, 4 adults. That is 16 hours a week at $40 per hour. That is $640 a week, over $2,000 a month. If you want more students, we have a waiting list." Marcus did the math in his head. $2,000 a month was more than enough for rent, food, and basic expenses. He would be stable. Actually stable. For the first time in 2 years. "When do I start?" Marcus asked. "Monday, if you are ready." "I am ready." That weekend, Marcus prepared for his first day. He bought some nicer clothes. Not fancy, but clean and professional. He got a haircut. He trimmed his beard. When he looked in the mirror, he saw someone he had not seen in a long time. He saw a teacher, a professional, someone with purpose and direction. Monday came. Marcus's first student was a 10-year-old girl named Olivia. She was shy and nervous, sitting at the piano with her hands in her lap. "Hi, Olivia," Marcus said gently. "My name is Marcus. I am going to be your piano teacher." "I saw you on TV," Olivia said quietly. "You are the homeless man who plays piano." Marcus paused. He wondered if this would be a problem. If people would always see him as the homeless piano man instead of just a teacher. "I was homeless," Marcus said honestly. "But not anymore. Now I live in an apartment and I teach piano, just like I used to before. And I am very happy to teach you. My mom says you are really good. She says you are the best piano player she has ever heard." That is very kind of her to say. But you know what? Piano is not about being the best. It is about expressing yourself, about finding joy in music, about learning something beautiful. Do you want to learn something beautiful? Olivia nodded, a small smile appearing on her face. "Then let us begin." The lesson went well. Olivia was a natural. She had good rhythm and quick fingers. Marcus was patient with her, showing her how to position her hands, how to read simple notes, how to play her first scale. By the end of the hour, she was playing a very simple song. Just a few notes, but it was music. She had made music. Olivia's mother came to pick her up. She hugged Marcus. "Thank you," she said. "Thank you for teaching her, and thank you for inspiring all of us with your story." "Thank you for trusting me with your daughter," Marcus replied. His other students that day were just as wonderful. A businessman who wanted to learn piano as a hobby, a retired nurse who had always dreamed of playing, twin brothers who were full of energy and excitement. Each lesson reminded Marcus why he loved teaching. The joy of watching someone discover music, the satisfaction of helping someone improve, the connection that formed between teacher and student. At the end of the day, Susan found him in his practice room. How did it go? It was perfect, Marcus said. I forgot how much I love this. I can tell. Your students were all smiling when they left. That is the sign of a great teacher. That week passed in a blur of lessons and practice and settling into his new life. Marcus developed a routine. Wake up, eat breakfast, teach at the school, come home, practice his own music, sleep in his own bed. It was simple but beautiful. He still thought about the shelter, about the people there. So every weekend he went back to visit. He brought groceries like he used to. He played checkers with Tyler. He talked with Patricia about how things were going. You do not have to keep doing this, Patricia told him. You have your own life to focus on now. This is part of my life, Marcus said. These people are my family. I am not going to forget them just because I have an apartment now. Patricia smiled. You are something special, Marcus Chen. Riley came to visit Marcus at his new apartment one evening. She brought pizza and soda, and they sat on his floor since he did not have much furniture yet. How does it feel? Riley asked. Being settled again? Surreal, Marcus admitted. Sometimes I wake up and forget where I am. I think I am back in the shelter. Then I remember and it feels like a dream. It is not a dream. You earned this. All of this. I keep waiting for something bad to happen, for it all to fall apart again. That is trauma talking, Riley said gently. You went through something horrible. Losing your mom. Losing your home. That leaves scars. But Marcus, you are safe now. You are stable. You can let yourself believe that. Marcus nodded, but he still felt that fear in his chest, that waiting for the other shoe to drop. He knew Riley was right. He knew he was safe. But convincing his heart was harder than convincing his mind. Over the next few weeks, more good things happened. Local businesses started donating furniture to Marcus. A couch, a table and chairs, a proper bed frame, a bookshelf. His empty apartment became a home. News outlets continued to follow his story. They did update segments showing his progress. People loved seeing that Marcus was thriving. It gave them hope. It showed that happy endings were possible. The fundraiser money was being put to good use. The Morrison Street shelter got renovations, new beds, a new kitchen, a computer lab where residents could look for jobs and learn new skills. Patricia cried when she saw all the improvements. This is because of you, she told Marcus. Your story brought attention to our work. It brought support. No, Marcus said. This is because of you. You are the one who runs this place, who helps people every single day. I just got lucky that people noticed me. But the best part was the music program. Using part of the fundraiser money, they had started Keys of Kindness, a nonprofit that provided free piano lessons to children from low-income families. They rented space at the community center and bought 3 good keyboards. Marcus taught twice a week, and they had recruited 2 other volunteer teachers. 20 kids were enrolled. 20 kids who would never have been able to afford lessons were now learning music. Some had real talent. Some did not. But all of them had joy. All of them had something beautiful in their lives that had not been there before. One evening, after teaching at Keys of Kindness, a mother approached Marcus. She was crying. Are you okay? Marcus asked, concerned. Yes, she said through tears. I am more than okay. My son, Roberto, he is one of your students. Before he started taking piano lessons, he was so angry. He was getting in fights at school. He was not listening to me. I did not know what to do. But since he started learning piano, he is different, calmer, happier. He practices every day. He talks about you all the time. You gave me my son back. Thank you. Marcus hugged her while she cried. This was why he did it. Not for the attention, not for the recognition, but for moments like this. For kids like Roberto who needed music, who needed something positive to focus on, who needed to know that someone believed in them. Marcus's life had transformed completely in just 2 months. From homeless street performer to housed piano teacher with a growing program helping others. It felt impossible, like a fairy tale, but it was real. Yet even with all this success, Marcus never forgot where he came from. He never forgot the cold nights in the shelter, the empty stomach feeling, the shame of having nothing, the pain of loss. Those experiences were part of him now. They shaped how he saw the world, how he treated people, how he valued every small blessing. One Saturday, Marcus decided to do something he had not done in a while. He went back to Morrison Street corner where his old piano still sat. Someone else was playing it now, a young woman with pink hair. She was not as skilled as Marcus, but she played with heart. Marcus waited until she finished her song. Then he walked over and dropped a $20 bill in her guitar case. "Beautiful," he said. "Keep playing." She looked up at him and her eyes went wide. "Oh my God. You are Marcus Chen, the piano man." Marcus smiled. "I used to be. Now I am just someone who appreciates good street music. I saw your videos. Your story inspired me to start playing in public. I was too scared before, but you showed me it was okay. That music should be shared." "I am glad," Marcus said. "Keep sharing your music. The world needs it." As Marcus walked away, he felt a sense of completion, like he had come full circle. He had been where that young woman was, uncertain, struggling, but playing anyway. And now maybe his story had given her courage. Maybe it had given lots of people courage to try to persevere, to believe that things could get better. That evening, Marcus sat at his keyboard in his apartment and played. He played the songs his mother loved, the songs he had played on Morrison Street, the songs he taught to his students. The music flowed through him, and for those moments everything was perfect. The past did not hurt, the future did not scare him. There was only the present, only the music, only the joy of playing. Marcus Chen was home. Not just in the physical sense, though that mattered, but home in his soul, home in his purpose, home in himself. He had lost everything and clawed his way back. And in the process, he had helped others climb too. That was something to be proud of. Something that made all the pain worthwhile. 6 months passed like a dream. Marcus settled into his new life with a rhythm that felt both familiar and miraculous. Every morning he woke up in his own apartment, made coffee in his own kitchen, and walked to the music school where students waited for him. It was the life he had before, but somehow better, richer, more meaningful. His student list had grown. He now taught 22 students each week, children and adults, beginners and intermediate players, each one with their own story, their own reason for wanting to learn music. Marcus loved them all. There was Daniel, a 12-year-old who had autism. He struggled with communication, but when he sat at the piano, he came alive. His fingers found melodies that his words could not express. There was Margaret, a 78-year-old widow learning piano for the first time. "My husband always wanted me to learn," she told Marcus. "I am doing it for him now." There was James, a firefighter who played piano to manage stress from his job. "When I play, the bad calls fade away," he explained. Each student taught Marcus something, about resilience, about dedication, about why music mattered. He was not just their teacher. They were his teachers too. Keys of Kindness had grown beyond Marcus's wildest hopes. What started with 20 kids and 3 keyboards had expanded to 50 kids and 6 keyboards. They had moved to a bigger space and recruited 5 volunteer teachers. Local musicians donated their time. Retired music teachers came out of retirement to help. The waiting list was long. Every week, new families called hoping to get their children enrolled. Patricia helped manage the program, and Riley had taken on a volunteer coordinator role. The program was changing lives. Marcus saw it every day. Roberto, the angry boy whose mother had thanked Marcus months ago, was thriving. He practiced 2 hours every day. His teacher at school said his grades had improved. His mother said he smiled again. At the last recital, Roberto played a piece by Mozart. His fingers moved confidently across the keys. When he finished, the audience stood and clapped. Roberto looked at Marcus with tears in his eyes and mouthed the words, "Thank you." Marcus had to turn away so no one would see him cry. The fundraiser money was almost gone now, spent on good things. The shelter improvements, the music program equipment, help for families in need. Marcus had taken only what he needed for his first few months of rent and basic furniture. The rest went to others. That felt right to him, but the story was not over. The attention Marcus received had sparked something bigger. People across the country were starting their own Keys of Kindness programs in their cities. Free music lessons for kids who could not afford them. Marcus received emails every week from people asking for advice on how to start a program. He answered every single one. Riley had created a website and a guidebook. She documented everything they learned about running the program, how to find volunteers, how to get donations, how to screen students, how to measure impact. She made it all free to download. Within 6 months, there were 43 Keys of Kindness programs operating in 30 different states. You started a movement, Riley told Marcus one day as they reviewed the website statistics. I did not mean to, Marcus said. I just wanted to help some kids in Portland. That is exactly why it worked. You did not try to start a movement. You just tried to help. And people saw that authenticity. They wanted to be part of it. The media attention had mostly faded. There were occasional update stories, but Marcus was no longer headline news. He preferred it that way. He could walk down the street without being recognized now. He could go to the grocery store in peace. Life felt normal again, but sometimes people did recognize him. Usually in kind ways. A woman at the coffee shop bought his coffee once. You inspired me to volunteer at my local homeless shelter, she said. Thank you. A teenager approached him at the park. I saw your video last year. I started taking piano lessons because of you. I love it. These small moments reminded Marcus that his story had mattered to people, that it had changed things. One Tuesday evening, Marcus was teaching at Keys of Kindness when an older man walked in. He stood in the doorway watching. Marcus did not recognize him at first, but when the man took off his hat, Marcus froze. It was Mr. Harrison, Marcus's piano teacher from 25 years ago. The man who had taught Marcus everything, who had seen his talent and nurtured it, who had encouraged him to study music in college. Marcus had not seen Mr. Harrison since his mother got sick. He had been too ashamed to reach out after losing everything, too embarrassed to let his old teacher see what he had become. Mr. Harrison, Marcus said, his voice shaking. The old man walked over slowly. He was in his 70s now, his hair completely white, but his eyes were still sharp and kind. Marcus Chen, Mr. Harrison said softly, I have been looking for you. How did you find me? I saw the news stories. I saw what happened to you. What you overcame, what you built. Mr. Harrison's eyes filled with tears. I am so proud of you, Marcus. So incredibly proud. Marcus felt like a child again, like he was 10 years old sitting at Mr. Harrison's piano, trying to make his teacher proud. I am sorry I disappeared. I was ashamed. Ashamed of what? Of taking care of your dying mother? Of losing everything to medical bills? Of becoming homeless through no fault of your own? Mr. Harrison shook his head. You have nothing to be ashamed of, nothing. I failed. I lost everything you taught me to build. You did not lose what I taught you, Mr. Harrison said firmly. Look around. You are teaching. You are sharing music. You are changing lives. That is what I taught you. Not how to avoid hardship, but how to use music to heal, to connect, to serve. And that is exactly what you are doing. Mr. Harrison pulled out a handkerchief and wiped his eyes. When I saw you on the news, playing piano in the rain, helping others even when you had nothing, I cried. I cried because I knew I had taught you well, not just piano, but life, compassion, generosity. You are everything a teacher hopes their student will become. Marcus could not hold back anymore. He hugged his old teacher and cried on his shoulder. All the shame he had carried for years melted away. He had not failed. He had survived. And he had done it while staying true to who he was. Will you play something for me? Mr. Harrison asked. Like old times? Marcus sat at the keyboard. He played the first piece Mr. Harrison had ever taught him. A simple melody by Beethoven. His fingers remembered it perfectly even after all these years. The muscle memory was still there. The love for the music was still there. Everything that mattered was still there. When he finished, Mr. Harrison was smiling through his tears. Perfect. Just perfect. The old teacher visited every week after that. Sometimes he helped teach. Sometimes he just watched. But his presence meant everything to Marcus. It was like a circle closing. The student had become the teacher, but the original teacher was still there supporting him, believing in him, reminding him where he came from and how far he had traveled. As fall turned to winter, Marcus prepared for something special. The 1-year anniversary of Riley's viral video was approaching. 1 year since his life had changed forever. Patricia and Riley wanted to organize a celebration, an event to mark the journey and thank everyone who had helped. At first, Marcus resisted. I do not need a celebration. Every day is a celebration now. I have a home, a job, a purpose. That is enough. This is not just for you, Patricia explained. This is for everyone. For the people you helped. For the volunteers. For the donors. For the community. They all need to see that their support mattered, that real change happened. Please, Marcus, let us do this, Marcus agreed reluctantly. They planned an event at the city's Performing Arts Center, the same venue where Marcus had dreamed of performing when he was young. Back then it seemed impossible. Now it was happening. Invitations went out. The event was free and open to the public. They called it Keys of Kindness, a year of music and hope. There would be performances by Marcus, by his students from the music school, and by kids from the Keys of Kindness program. There would be speeches, a video showing the journey, a chance to celebrate how far they had all come. The week before the event, Marcus was nervous. He practiced every day, preparing his pieces. He wanted everything to be perfect. This was important, not for himself, but for everyone who had believed in him, everyone who had helped. He wanted to honor them with his best performance. The night of the event arrived. Marcus stood backstage, peeking through the curtain at the audience. The Performing Arts Center was full, every seat taken. He saw familiar faces everywhere. Sarah and her children, Eddie in his winter coat, Carmen with her mother, Tyler and his family, Patricia, Riley, Susan, Mr. Harrison, all his students, all the volunteers, all the donors who had contributed, all the people whose lives had intersected with his over the past year. And in the crowd he saw strangers too. People who had just seen his story and wanted to be part of this moment. People who believed in what he represented: hope, resilience, the power of community, the importance of helping others. Patricia opened the event with a speech. She talked about the Morrison Street shelter and its mission. She talked about how Marcus's story had brought attention and resources to their work, how they had been able to help more people because of him, how his example inspired others to give more, to care more, to see the humanity in everyone. Then Riley spoke. She talked about filming Marcus that rainy Tuesday morning, how she had no idea what would happen when she posted that video, how it reminded her that the best stories are the ones that find you, not the ones you search for, how Marcus taught her that real influence comes from authenticity, not from trying to be influential. Susan Chen spoke about welcoming Marcus to her music school, how he brought not just talent but heart, how his students loved him because he truly cared about their growth, how he never made anyone feel less than, no matter their skill level, how he was the kind of teacher every student deserves. Then it was time for the performances. First, the children from Keys of Kindness played. They performed a group piece, all 6 keyboards playing together in harmony. It was not perfect. Some kids missed notes, some lost their place, but it was beautiful because it was real. These kids, many from difficult circumstances, were making music. They were creating something beautiful together. The audience clapped so hard that some kids cried with joy. Then Marcus's students from the music school performed. Olivia, who had been nervous in her first lesson, played a Chopin prelude with confidence. Daniel, the boy with autism, improvised a melody that left people speechless. Margaret, the 78-year-old widow, played a song her husband had loved. By the end, there was not a dry eye in the audience. Finally, it was Marcus's turn. He walked onto the stage to thunderous applause. He sat at the grand piano in the center of the stage. The lights dimmed. The audience quieted. Marcus took a breath and began to play. He played the songs of his journey, songs his mother had loved, songs he had played on Morrison Street in the rain, songs he taught to his students, songs that represented pain and loss and hope and redemption. His fingers moved across the keys with precision and passion. Every note was infused with meaning. Every phrase told part of his story. The audience was completely silent, mesmerized. Even the children sat still, drawn into the music. Marcus played for 30 minutes without stopping, moving seamlessly from one piece to another. Classical pieces, original compositions, melodies that seemed to speak directly to the soul. When he played the final note, the silence held for a moment. Then the audience erupted. Standing ovation, cheering, crying, clapping that seemed to shake the building. Marcus stood and bowed, tears streaming down his face. He was not crying from sadness. He was crying because this moment represented everything. His past, his present, his future. All of it coming together in one perfect moment. But he was not done yet. Marcus gestured for people to join him on stage. Sarah and her kids came up. Eddie, Carmen, Roberto, Tyler. All the people whose lives he had touched. His students. His teachers, Patricia, Riley. They all gathered around the piano. Music belongs to everyone, Marcus said into the microphone, his voice shaking with emotion. "It does not matter if you are rich or poor, young or old, housed or homeless. Music is for all of us, and when we share it, when we teach it, when we use it to connect with each other, we make the world a little bit better. Thank you for letting me share music with you. Thank you for believing in me when I did not believe in myself. Thank you for reminding me that even in our darkest moments, we are not alone. We have each other. And that is everything." The audience stood again, applauding even louder. Marcus looked at all the faces around him on stage. His community, his family. Not related by blood, but connected by something deeper, by shared struggle, by mutual support, by love. After the event, there was a reception in the lobby. People lined up to talk to Marcus, to thank him, to share their own stories. A young man told Marcus he had been suicidal a year ago, but watching Marcus's journey gave him hope to keep living. A mother told Marcus her daughter started playing piano because of him and discovered a talent she never knew she had. An elderly man told Marcus he started volunteering at his local shelter after hearing Marcus's story, and it gave him purpose in retirement. Story after story, life after life, all touched by one man who refused to let circumstances destroy his character, who kept playing music even when everything else was taken from him, who kept helping others even when he had nothing, who proved that one person, one act of kindness, one moment of generosity could ripple outward in ways impossible to measure. Late that night, Marcus returned to his apartment. He was exhausted but happy. He sat on his couch and looked around at his home. At the plant Sarah had given him growing strong on the windowsill. At the welcome mat Eddie had brought. At Carmen's photo on the wall. At Tyler's drawing on the refrigerator. At all the small pieces of love that had filled his life. He thought about his mother. She would have been so happy to see this. To see him teaching again. To see him helping others. To see him using his music to make a difference. He hoped somehow, somewhere, she knew. He hoped she was proud. Marcus walked to his keyboard and sat down. Even though he had played for hours tonight, he wanted to play more. Because playing was not work. It was joy. It was meditation. It was home. He played softly. A lullaby his mother used to sing to him when he was little. The melody was simple but sweet. As he played, he thought about his journey. From success to loss. From loss to survival. From survival to rebuilding. From rebuilding to thriving. From thriving to giving back. It had been the hardest journey of his life. But it had also been the most meaningful. Because now Marcus understood something he had not understood before. Success was not about wealth or fame or never facing hardship. Success was about how you treated people, how you responded to suffering, whether you let pain make you bitter or better, whether you hoarded resources or shared them, whether you climbed alone or reached back to pull others up with you. Marcus had lost everything and gained something far more valuable. Purpose, connection, community, love, the knowledge that he mattered, not because of his talent, though that was a gift, but because of his choices, because even in his darkest moments he chose kindness, he chose generosity, he chose to see others and help them even when his own pain was overwhelming. That was the real story. Not homeless man becomes successful again, but broken man chooses love over bitterness, suffering man chooses giving over taking, lost man chooses to help others find their way, even while still finding his own. The next morning, Marcus woke up early. It was Saturday, which meant he would go back to Morrison Street. Not to play for money anymore, but to play for joy. He did this every Saturday now. His way of staying connected to where he had been. His way of remembering that circumstances could change in an instant, in either direction. When he arrived at the corner, his old piano was there. Someone had painted it recently. Bright colors, music notes, hearts, the words "music heals" in big letters on the side. Marcus smiled. The piano had become a community landmark, a symbol of hope, a reminder that beauty could exist anywhere. Marcus sat down and began to play. Within minutes, a crowd gathered. Some people recognized him and smiled. Some did not know who he was but stopped because the music was beautiful. A little girl dropped $1 in a guitar case someone had left there. An elderly couple held hands and swayed to the music. A businessman on his phone stopped talking and just listened. Snow began to fall gently from the gray sky. Fat, perfect flakes that landed on Marcus's shoulders and hair. He kept playing, his fingerless gloves protecting his hands from the cold. The snow fell harder, covering the street in white. But Marcus did not stop. He played through the snow, his music mixing with the quiet hush that snow brings. People stood in the snow to listen. They did not rush away. They did not complain about the cold. They just stood and listened because the moment was too beautiful to leave. Because sometimes you stumble upon something special and you know you need to stay. You need to witness it. You need to let it change you. This was what Marcus lived for now. Not the applause or the recognition or the success, but these moments. These quiet, perfect moments when music connected strangers, when time seemed to stop, when everyone felt part of something bigger than themselves. A young woman with a camera approached Marcus. For a moment he thought it might be Riley, but it was someone else, someone new. She filmed him for a moment, smiled, and walked away. Marcus wondered if she would post it online, if his story would go viral again, if the cycle would repeat. But he was not worried about that anymore. He understood now that his story was bigger than him. It belonged to everyone who needed hope, everyone who was struggling, everyone who wondered if they could survive their own dark times. His story was proof that you could not just survive but thrive, that you could lose everything and still have value, still have purpose, still have love. Marcus played until his fingers grew tired. Then he played some more, because this was what he was meant to do: share music, teach music, use music to heal and connect and inspire. It was his gift and his purpose and his joy all rolled into one.